Okay, we're back. I have just added the lines up under here again, the shadow lines, and the easiest way to do that is to turn your board like this and just draw the lines down and then softening them so that you don't have hard edges. So I've done that. I've darkened up in here and darkened this little place that your feet go here. So I'm going to leave the boat alone, and I darkened this under here as well, but I'm going to go in and darken the background one more time because now that the boat is darker, it's competing with the background. So I need to be sure that I have contrast. And the easiest way for me to get contrast is to darken the background and let it compete less. So I'm just using that same mixture of the green mixture and the Payne's Gray. I really want this bird to pop out. So the darker I make it back here, the more he's going to stand out. And I could make a black if I wanted here, if I wanted this to be blacker. I tend to make my blacks because they are more chromatic. I don't use black out of the tube I rarely ever use black out of the tube, truthfully. Unless that I have some reason to do that. And I'm going to go ahead and cover this as well. It still will, it'll read lighter because of the lighter colors underneath, but I want that whole background to push back in here. And anytime you use Payne's Gray, Payne's Gray has a flattening effect, so that's why you have to keep going in and adjusting it and darkening it. So we're going to check our values and see where we are, and it might be time to pull off the masking fluid. I'm going to take ultramarine blue and mix it in that mixture that I already had and see if I can get a little more definition in him since he is the focal point. So let's see, let's drop in some darks in here. Define under these wings a little bit. Just drawing in some wings there. Some feathers rather, not wings. Feathers. Just to give him a little more definition. Darkening that again. Once we pull off the masking fluid, we're not going to be able to get back in there with these darks very easily. That's why we want to go ahead and do this. Okay. There's a pretty little, actually it goes like this here under him. And he does have a little detail up in here. If I wanted to give him some more feathers up in there, I could. But we'll see what he looks like after we get the masking fluid off. So we'll let him dry. Might go back in here with this, make this a little more interesting. With a fiddly approach there. All right. And other than that, think we're going to let it dry, and then we're going to pull off the masking fluid and soften the details, and we will be done. All right, we're back, and I have taken off the masking fluid, and as expected, it's very severe. So now we're just going to go back in with this nice yellow green, and basically soften all these reeds that are standing out way too much. Because I'm going over a darker wash, I can get away with this. And it just basically makes our dark a little greener, but it knocks back all these, the busyness that's going on back here. You don't want your background to be more detailed than your foreground. Because that's going to draw the eye to the background. So we're going to let that dry and decide if that's enough. I'm happy with my boat. I just need to soften some of these harsh lines. And if you notice, this this earthy kind of algae color is pretty much everywhere that there's a white. So if I get a little New Gamboge and just mix it with the color I just had, let's see what we get. See if we can get just, there you go. There's that nice little soft algae color. That's basically, there's not white on this painting, it's really all just this soft color. So I'll just go in here, everywhere where there's that color. It's all along the top of these. Everything that we perceived as white really isn't white. And that's the thing you have to realize about this. That I kind of want to be a little silvery though. Okay. So we're just going to knock back all these brights here. This even has this color on top. So we're going to just blend that in. Everywhere that I see that, this is going to be just a bluer, lighter, bluer mix. Like that. Okay. Now in the water, I like this white, but I've got to soften this because that's way too severe. So I'm going to go back in and do the same thing that I did here. Up there, but just do it here. Then it all works together and it makes sense. And also along there. So we're just softening all those white lines, and I want to take some up into his feathers right there. And if these lines are too harsh still, you can go back in and just work them and soften them. we'll do that if we need to. All right, coming on down here, everywhere that I had the white. I'm just knocking it all back. I am going to leave some of these whites down here though, possibly. We'll see. Let's see here. Let's see here. Like that in the foreground. This white, let's see over here. Let's see what we got here. That's better. So see, it reads as a highlight. It just doesn't read as pure white. And that brings continuity to our painting and harmony as we just blend it all in and give it this wonderful glow about it. This painting does. All right, I'm going to put in a beak on our little guy here. Just block that back a little bit, just to give him a little bit of color on his beak. I may put some shadows up in his feathers a little bit, just to give him a little more color in here. Block that back though. Give him a little bit of color there. Put just some color in him. Okay, I'm liking that. I need to get rid of these harsh lines right here that outline his wings. So I think we'll do that with the gray. Just detailing that a little bit. I don't want it as dark as the other dark though. So we're going to keep that soft, just so he's not outlined in white. Give him a little more interest in him. This should go all the way back here. We're not going to over detail him. I'm happy with him just sitting there like that. Put a little dark in here. Just give him some definition. Soften that curve a little bit. Okay, I think that's all we're going to do for him. Maybe lighten his back a little bit. He needs a definite line back here though for his back. I'm going to take a little bit of burnt sienna here. Just go back over that a little bit. Brighten it up a little. These are actually burnt sienna. These are just the final details of your painting. Anything you see that needs to be adjusted or corrected, now's the time. I want this to have a nice, almost dry brush effect here. You don't want it to be too severe here. This might be too busy up here for me. So I think I may go back in and I need to soften some of these lines in here. Now the way I would do that is I would take a scrubber brush and let's see. This is the little brush I use. It's a 3/8 inch Master's Touch brush, just to go in and soften some of these lines that are too redundant. So I would just take a damp brush, and anywhere that I thought there was just too much of a harsh line, just agitate it a little bit, soften it a little bit, blend it in a little bit better. We don't want too much detail in the background, so I might go over that again with that mixture, just to tone that down a bit. These are just, you can do as much of this or as little of this as you choose. There is a darker shadow back down here that I would probably put in. Just to knock that back a little bit so it's not quite so busy. I like this over here though, and I really like this. The only thing I'm not sure of is this. I think I may just go over this whole thing one more time. Knock that back a little bit more, just because it's the background. And maybe with a slightly darker green. Let's see what happens. Yeah, there you go. Just darkening this up. It is quite a bit darker in the bottom of the background. So just darkening that a little more. Back here. So you can just continually adjust these things until you're happy with it. So what do you think of that? That's better. Maybe just keep the top a little lighter. We wanted to. Now even arches buckles, you can see this paper buckling, but there's a ton of water on this paper. Okay. So, okay, this is the last step here. I just washed out some of this to soften this. So I brought the loose wash down a little bit, and I'm letting this dry. And we are going to dry this, and I believe we're going to call this done. Okay, this is it. I have fooled around with this enough. I have darkened the background one more time. It's wet right now. So this is our boat, and we are calling this finished.